What's going on, guys? Welcome to another Blockchain Future. Hope you had a good day. Today, I wanted to get into decentralized autonomous organizations. And I actually read through this post that Vitalik did. This is the same post that I did on the, um, which one was it? Um, shit. Autonomous agents. I remember when I used the same post for autonomous agents. This is the article that Vitalik wrote in May 6, 2014. And after reading over this, I believe Vitalik had a major brain dump. So this is pretty heavy stuff. So strap yourself in. We're going to get deep into blockchain and decentralized autonomous organizations. Bear with me. I'm going to try and simplify it if I can, but man, the guy just opened his brain and dumped it out into this blog. Here we go. In general, okay, we're going to start with a decentralized organization, defining a decentralized organization. In general, a human organization can be defined as a combination of two things: a set of property and a protocol for a set of individuals, which may or may not be divided into certain classes with different conditions for entering or leaving the set, to interact with each other, including rules for under what circumstances the individuals may use certain parts of the property. That is the longest sentence ever. Okay, so it gives an example here. For example, consider a simple corporation running a chain of stores. The corporation has three classes of members: investors, employees, and customers. The membership rule for investors is that of a fixed size slice of virtual property. You buy some virtual property to get in, and you become an investor until you sell your shares. Employees need to be hired by either investors or other employees specifically authorized by investors. So that defines kind of a store setup. To participate and can also be, I'm sorry, let me read that over again. Employees need to be hired by either investors or other employees specifically authorized by investors to participate, and can also be fired in the same way. And customers are an open membership system where anyone can freely interact with the store in the obvious official sanctioned way for any time. Meaning that the customers can just come in and shop, the general public, but the owners and the employees obviously fall under the organization rules. Suppliers in this model are equivalent to employees. A nonprofit charity has somewhat different structure involving donors and members. I don't even know why he added that in there, just to make it more confusing. But moving on. The idea of a decentralized organization takes the same concept of an organization and decentralizes it. Instead of a hierarchical structure managed by a set of humans interacting in person and controlling property via the legal system, a decentralized organization involves a set of humans interacting with each other according to a protocol specified in code and enforced on the blockchain. A decentralized organization may or may not make use of the legal system for some protection of its physical property, but even there such usage is secondary. For example, one can take the shareholder-owned corporation above and transplant it entirely on the blockchain. A long-running blockchain-based contract maintains a record of each individual's holdings of their shares, and on-blockchain voting would allow the shareholders to select positions of the board of directors and the employees. Smart property systems can also be integrated into the blockchain directly, potentially allowing decentralized organizations to control vehicles, safety deposit boxes, and buildings. So a decentralized organization here is pretty much saying it's decentralized on the blockchain, but there isn't any currency or money involved yet. And that's where we get into decentralized autonomous organizations. Here we get into what is perhaps the holy grail, the thing that has the murkiest definition of all: decentralized autonomous organizations and their corporate subclass, decentralized autonomous corporations, or more recently, companies. The ideal of a decentralized autonomous organization is easy to describe. Really? I don't think so. It is an entity that lives on the internet and exists autonomously, but also heavily relies on hiring individuals to perform certain tasks that the automation itself cannot do. Given the above, the important part of the definition is actually to focus on what a decentralized autonomous organization is not, and what is not a decentralized autonomous organization and is instead either a decentralized organization or a decentralized agent or an automated agent. So yeah, try and take that sentence in. First of all, let's consider decentralized agents. The main difference between a decentralized agent and a decentralized autonomous organization is that a decentralized autonomous organization has internal capital. That is, a decentralized autonomous organization contains some kind of internal property that is valuable in some way, and it has the ability to use that property as a mechanism for rewarding certain activities. BitTorrent has no internal property, and BitCloud MadeSafe-like systems have reputation, but that reputation is not a saleable asset. Bitcoin and Namecoin's so gone, I don't even know if they're still listed. Bitcoin and Namecoin, on the other hand, do. However, plain old decentralized organizations also have internal capital, as do autonomous agents. And the video for autonomous agents is popping up in the corner right now if you want to take a look at that one. Second, we can look at decentralized organizations. The obvious difference between a decentralized organization and a decentralized autonomous organization, and the one inherent in the language, is the word autonomous. That is, a decentralized organization, the humans are the ones making the decisions, and a decentralized autonomous organization is something that, in some fashion, makes decisions for itself. This is a surprisingly tricky distinction to define because, as dictatorships are always keen to point out, there is really no difference between a certain set of actors making decisions directly and that set of actors controlling all of the information which decisions are made. You guys staying with me? It's going to get worse. In Bitcoin, a 51% attack between a small number of mining pools can make a blockchain reverse transactions. And in a hypothetical decentralized autonomous corporation, the providers of the data inputs can all collude to make the decentralized autonomous corporation think that sending all of its money to a specific address constitutes paying for 1 million nodes worth of computing power for 10 years. However, there is obviously a meaningful distinction between the two, and so we need to define it. So he keeps going. My own effort at defining the difference is as follows. Decentralized organizations and decentralized autonomous organizations are both vulnerable to collusion attacks, where, in the best case, a majority, or in the worst case, a significant percentage of a certain type of members collude to specifically direct the decentralized autonomous organization's activity. However, the difference is this: a decentralized autonomous organization collusion attacks are treated as a bug, whereas in a decentralized organization, they are a feature. In a democracy, for example, the whole point is that a plurality of members choose what they like best, and that solution gets executed. In Bitcoins, on the other hand, the default behavior that happens when everyone acts according to individual interest without any desire for a specific outcome is the intent. And a 51% attack to favor a specific blockchain is an aberration. This appeal to social consensus is similar to the definition of government. If a local gang starts charging a property tax to all shop owners, it may even get away with it in certain parts of the world, but no significant portion of the population will treat it as legitimate. Whereas if the government starts doing the same, the public response will be tilted in the other direction. So let me see if I could break down this paragraph. So basically, a decentralized autonomous organization is very much like a democracy. So because the government, which he's basically saying is the rules defining a decentralized autonomous organization, because if somebody takes over a DAO and there's a bug, it can actually cause something similar to a government law being put on the people, where a DAO is a feature. Honestly, this is just crazy. I'm not even sure what he was trying to get at here. But I think that I wanted to go over the outline of a DAO, which you can get from this, but I just wasn't aware that it was going to be this deep. And I'm not even sure he knew what he was writing at this point. But let's keep going. Bitcoin is an interesting case here. In general, it seems to be much closer to a decentralized autonomous organization than a decentralized organization. However, there is one incident in 2013 where the reality proved to be rather different. What happened was an exceptional block was, at least we hope, accidentally produced, which was treated as a valid block according to the Bitcoin QT 0.8 clients, but invalid according to the rules of Bitcoin QT 0.7. The blockchain forked, with some nodes following the blockchain after this exceptional block. We'll call this chain B1. And the other nodes that saw that block as invalid working on a separate blockchain, which we'll call B2. Most mining pools had upgraded to Bitcoin QT 0.8, so they followed block 1 or B1. But most users were still on 0.7, and so they followed B2. The mining pool operators came together on IRC chat, shows how old this is, IRC, and agreed to switch their pools to mining on B2, since that outcome would be simpler for users because it would not require them to upgrade. And after 6 hours, the B2 chain overtook the B1 as a result of this deliberate action, and B1 fell away. Thus, in this case, there was a deliberate 51% attack, which was seen by the community as legitimate, making Bitcoin a decentralized organization rather than a decentralized autonomous organization. In most cases, however, this does not happen. So the best way to classify Bitcoin would be as a decentralized autonomous organization with an imperfection in its implementation of autonomy. So what he's saying here is that the way that Bitcoin works is that there's this ongoing chain that all the computers are building, and at one point, the chains forked into two chains because of an error that was seen in the original chain in the newer software. So the computers running the newer software were basically building one chain, and the older software were building another chain. So in order to fix the problem, because there was two chains, they got together, all the people that were running the nodes, and decided to go with, they decided to go with, how come simpler focus? They went with the B2 chain. So that's an example of a 51% attack. Again, I think he's going a bit too far with this. However, others are not content to classify Bitcoin as a decentralized autonomous organization because it is not really smart enough. Bitcoin does not think. It does not go out and hire people, with the exception of the mining protocol, and it follows simple rules, the upgrading process for which is more like a decentralized organization than a decentralized autonomous organization. People with this view would see a decentralized autonomous organization as something that has a large degree of autonomous intelligence of its own. However, the issue with this view is that there must be a distinction made between a decentralized autonomous organization and an autonomous agent / artificial intelligence. The distinction here is arguably this: a artificial intelligence is completely autonomous, where a decentralized autonomous organization still requires heavy involvement from humans, specifically interacting according to a protocol defined by the decentralized autonomous organization in order to operate. We can classify decentralized autonomous organizations, decentralized organizations, and plain old organizations, artificial intelligence, and a fourth category, plain old robots, according to the good old Quadrant Chart. Yeah, that good old Quadrant Chart. We all know about the Quadrant Chart. With another Quadrant Chart to classify entities that do not have internal capital, thus altogether making a cube. Man, he's really showing his high IQ with this stuff. This is crazy. So yeah, I'm going to leave the link in this because I'm not even sure if anybody's still listening. But you can check out this graph. I'll have the link in the description. Wrapping up here. Decentralized autonomous organizations equal automation at the center, humans at the edges. Thus, on the whole, it makes most sense to see Bitcoin and Namecoin as decentralized autonomous organizations, albeit ones that barely cross the threshold from the decentralized agent mark. The other important distinction is internal capital. A decentralized autonomous organization without internal capital is a decentralized agent, and an organization without internal capital is a forum. The G8, for example, would qualify as a forum. DCs in the graph above are decentralized communities. An example of that might be something like a decentralized Reddit, where there is a decentralized platform, but there is also a community around that platform, and it is somewhat ambiguous whether the community or the protocol is truly in charge. Yeah, so he's getting really deep here. He then goes into, I'm just going to go ahead and read this last 3 paragraphs because I've made it this far. If you're still listening, I'd like to give you a round of applause because this is some heavy stuff. I don't even know how I'm still reading it, but let's keep going. Decentralized autonomous corporations / companies are a smaller topic because they are basically a subclass of decentralized autonomous organizations, but they are worth mentioning. Since the main exponent of a decentralized autonomous corporation as terminology is Dan Larimer, we will borrow as a definition the point that he himself consistently promotes. A decentralized autonomous corporation pays dividends. That is, there is a concept of shares in a decentralized autonomous corporation which are purchasable and tradable in some fashion, and those shares potentially entitle their holders to continual receipts based on the decentralized autonomous corporation's success. A decentralized autonomous organization is nonprofit, though you can make money in a decentralized autonomous organization. The way to do that is by participating in its ecosystem and not by providing investment into the decentralized autonomous organization itself. I'm going to see how many times I can say that word. Obviously, this distinction is a murky one. All decentralized autonomous organizations contain internal capital that can be owned, and the value of that internal capital can easily go up as the decentralized autonomous organization becomes more powerful, popular. So a large portion of decentralized autonomous organizations are inevitably going to be very DAC-like to some extent. DAC meaning decentralized autonomous corporation. I really don't want to say that anymore. Thus, the distinction is more of a fluid one and hinges on emphasis. To what extent are dividends the main point, and to what extent is it about earning tokens by participation? Also, to what extent does the concept of a share exist as opposed to simple virtual property? For example, a membership on a nonprofit board is not really a share because membership frequently gets granted and confiscated at will, something which would be unacceptable for something classified as investable property. And a Bitcoin is not a share because a Bitcoin does not entitle you to any claim on profits or decision-making ability inside the system, whereas a share in a corporation definitely is a share. In the end, perhaps the distinction might ultimately be the surprisingly obscure point of whether or not the profit mechanism and the consensus mechanism are the same thing. Well, at least he's starting to come back down to earth with that last sentence. Makes sense. The above definitions are still not close to complete. There will likely be gray areas and holes in them, and exactly what kind of automation a decentralized organization must have before it becomes a decentralized autonomous organization is a very hard question to answer. You don't think? Did you read the last 5 paragraphs you wrote? Additionally, there is also the question of how all these things should be built. An artificial intelligence, for example, should likely exist as a network of private servers, each one running often proprietary local code, whereas a decentralized organization should be fully open source and blockchain based. Between those two extremes, there is a large number of different paradigms to pursue. How much of the intelligence should be in the core code? Should genetic algorithms be used for updating code, or should it be futurarchy? or some voting vetting mechanism based on individuals? Should membership be corporate style with sellable or transferable shares, or nonprofit style where members can vote other members in and out? Should blockchains be proof of work, proof of stake, or reputation based? Should decentralized autonomous organizations try to maintain balances in other currencies, or should they reward behavior by issuing their own internal token? These are all hard problems, and we have only just begun scratching the surface of them. Yeah, there's a lot going through his mind in 2014. And obviously, these are problems that he's still trying to tackle today. Ethereum is moving to a proof of work model. He believes he solved the problem with proof of stake. He solved the problem with the proof of stake model. Things are moving along with Ethereum, but DAOs are pretty cool. I just wanted to bring them up because Maker is actually considered a decentralized autonomous organization. The whole minting and creation of DAI, the stable coin, and the Maker token itself, which gives you voting rights, allows you to actually be a shareholder, so to speak, and then vote on things like the fee, the stability fee that is charged against the people that are locking their ether in a CDP, and then when they actually return the DAI that they borrowed to get their ether back, there's actually a fee that's charged. So the people that hold the Maker token can actually vote to raise or lower that fee. And obviously, that's just one example. There are many other DAOs that allow you to vote. I think I'm in a few of them. I don't even remember. But it really is something that is hard to conceptualize, but I do think this is worth a read, and that you guys try and get a grasp of it, because it will be the underlying foundation and future of corporations and companies that are run. Most of them will not be living in the physical world. They will be digital, and they will be living on the internet in this form, basically living by the rules of a DAO. So hopefully for those of you who are still listening, thanks. And that's all I got. So I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Have a good one.